Hello, everyone. I'm Joanna Deninas, and I am going to be talking about different things in daily life. There's no script here. I'm doing this to grow my channel and through the guidance of someone who is intuitive and believes that me putting out something every day is going to help grow the channel. So here I am. I'm going to try to do this daily, and it's just going to be the truth about daily life, what happens day to day, what my thought process is with my background as a life coach, and how best to navigate our world. Um, we all have intuition and we should utilize it. Lots of times we ignore it. I don't recommend that because your intuition is like a beacon of light. It generally steers you in the right direction, prevents you from hitting obstacles that you cannot see. So you have to just quiet the mind. You have to get centered and you have to listen. And that's what I'm doing. So, so I'm going to call this truth talk. And to eliminate my, I guess, concern with how I label these videos, I'm just going to say truth talk and I'm going to label it by the day that I do it. So this one will be called Truth Talk 3/28/2026. And there's no script. I'm just talking off the cuff here. And I'll have a topic in mind. And today, my topic is about control and how it's how it plays out in our lives and in our relationships. Okay, and this could be personal relationships, it could be work relationships, it could be friendships, really any type of relationship. So, control is a good thing when it comes to how we navigate our lives. So, it's important that we're in control of our own lives, right? We have to be in the driver's seat. And that's where we have the ultimate control, right? We make our choices, our decisions, which are so crucial and important, in my opinion, because the decisions that we make today will impact tomorrow. And I often say that we're here not simply by chance, we're here because it's the sum total of our choices and our decisions that we've made in the past. So if we're not happy with where we are today, it's because we didn't make good choices or good decisions in the past. Unfortunately, that's fact. It may not be what we want to hear, but it's the truth. And this is a truth talk. Okay. So control is important and we should definitely harness control in our own lives. 100%. We're in the driver's seat. We must navigate the truth. We must tell the truth and we must live by the truth. Okay. As far as in relationships now, that's a different thing because we can't control anyone. No matter what anyone says, I mean, I can understand parent-child relationships are slightly different because obviously as a parent, you do have to kind of control the environment and I would like to say discipline, but more guiding and having kids understand the difference between the best way or the not so great way or the I say the more right or more wrong way of doing something. And in that regard there's slightly more control in a parent child relationship, but even in that regard children are not just to obey what we say or do, they also are here on their own journey and they have their own purpose, so we have to respect that as well. Okay. But nonetheless, until they're adults, right, sometimes they have to live by our rules, right? So that's a little slightly different situation when it comes to parent child. But when our children become adults, um, I think the most important thing is they have to then recognize that now they're in control of their lives. And I don't think we clarify that transition very well. I think that they often get stuck in the parent child relationship and think they have no power or no control. And that's not true. They do. And perhaps it's up to us to remind them, that okay, you're an adult now and what you do is up to you, right? And we can offer an opinion, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to make their decisions. And that's the difference between an adult and a child. All right. So we'll probably dive into more of that at another time because there are a lot of issues with parents and children these days, and I can speak from personal experience. Okay, so let's just leave that, for a later date. Okay, control in a relationship, um, when it comes to spouses or husband and wife, it should be an equal, participation, right? Some people, one spouse might request or ask the other spouse to do something, and obviously that spouse has a choice whether they do or do not. And then ultimately it's up to us to decide, if they don't do it, are we going to do it? Are we going to hire someone else to do it? However you want to frame this, the end of the day, the point is we can't control what our spouse does, or we can't make them do something that we want them to do. So this is where we have to, um, coexist, respect, understand, accept, and, learn where that balance is. What is it that we are looking for in a relationship, and what's an equal give and take, right? So, and we have, friendships, same thing. I mean, not that everything has to be, tit for tat or, exact reciprocity, but there should be a give and take, or a fair representation of, not exactly equal, but everyone takes a turn and contributes and receives, and it should be, a nice balance over time. So, I mean, the reality of it is, and I've simplified this, right? But really it's not complicated, right? It's like that video that I put out back in April of 2024. Life is simple. It's us, we complicate things, okay? And so the best is to just keep things simple. When you're in a relationship, if number one, you tell the truth, you're authentic, you're honest, you're accountable, you're understanding, you're loving, you're accepting, right? And yes, you have to respect yourself as well. So you have to, you know, determine when someone has crossed the line, when they are behaving unfairly, or maybe when they're taking too much, or given too much control, or too much in charge of something that is not equal, or it is unbalanced, right? We see this oftentimes in work relationships, employer employee. Um, you're hired as an employee, it's a contract, right? And you're asked to do a job. And the way I see it is you do the job, you get paid, there's an equal give and take, right? But sometimes employers seem to think they should control, or that they should own or manipulate their employee. And that's not okay, right? An employee sometimes is asked for more than what they should have to do. And again, an unequal give and take. There's oftentimes that lack of understanding, or lack of loyalty, or lack of respect. Let's say an employee is looking more to grow within the company, and they don't want to remain stagnant. So they, would like to move into a different position. The superior, the boss, may not agree with that. They might say no. They might think to themselves, prefer that this person stays in this position. But again, it's and does everything in their power to make sure that that is what happens. That's not exactly fair. That's not equal. That's not respectful. That's not a fair give and take. That's a one-way street, right? So, you know, we understand that business must continue. And yes, the employee must do their part. But again, are they doing their job? Are they holding their end of the bargain. If they're being unfairly taken advantage of, that's not okay, right? I don't care if you're the boss and you're the one paying. Um, everyone is deserving of respect. Everyone is, not everyone, but actually loyalty should be a big thing. If someone is giving of themselves and is doing their absolute best, there should be a sense of loyalty to that. There should be a reciprocity. Um, you help me, I'll help you, right? These are pretty basic things, but oftentimes they're not followed. They're forgotten or ignored, just simply because it's not convenient or it doesn't suit our agenda. Where we go. That's where we go wrong, right? Because if we live by the golden rule, right, treat others the way we want to be treated, it's the main, how can I say, the main principle that I enforce in almost all of my videos is the golden rule. I truly think that no one should graduate from school without really knowing what the golden rule means and how it affects everyone. It is the most, the simplest, but yet the most essential bit of knowledge to explain what's fair in relationships, what is the driving force for equality in mankind, how we treat others um, is important and something we should really think about, before we act. We should think about our actions and put ourselves in other people's shoes and is this if I were in their shoes, would I want this done to me? And is this the right decision to make? Is it going to just help me or is it going to help other people? Or is this decision that I make today going to have a negative effect on other people? These are the kinds of questions we should ask ourselves every time we're faced with a choice or decision. And we have many of them in a day. But it's just a simple, self reflection. If I say this or I do this, how does this fare for me? How does this fare for the next person? How will this look in 5, 10 years down the line? So it's not difficult. It's actually very simple. We just have to remember to do it. And it should be almost, I don't want to say transactional because it is transactional. Sometimes we have to remove our thoughts and our feelings or our biases and just look at the facts and say, okay, this could make me money, but is this the right thing for not just for me, but for everybody, right? It's it's not just thinking of ourselves, it's thinking about others, and our earth and our planet and so on and so forth. What is it that we're doing? Is it the right thing to do? Right? And some people will say, oh, there's no such thing as right or wrong. It's all relative. No, no, no. There is a more right or more wrong answer. There is a more right or more wrong solution. You just need the facts. You need to look at the, you know, case by case basis, you know, look at the facts and decide what is the best way to proceed. And this is not difficult. It's definitely a skill. If we don't possess it, we can learn it. It's not that hard. Okay. So, so anyway, so just to recap, like I said, control. It's okay for us to have control over ourselves and our own lives and to make the best choices and decisions, not just for us, but for others. And it's important to remember that we cannot control other people and that there's a certain level of respect and loyalty that we must have. And this is for, in our relationships, our friendships, our marriages, in our work relationships, really any relationship which involves you and another person. These are just very simple, basic rules of reciprocity that we should all follow. So um, I'm going to call it. Um, I'm going to call it a night. I'm actually recording this at 8:58 p.m. or 8:30 to 8:50, you know what I mean, around that time. I'm not editing this stuff. I'm not perfect. I don't proclaim to be. I just want to get the message out. Like I said, grow this channel. And I'm going to try to do this every day. I can't promise it'll be every day, but I'm going to try. And, but I'm doing this because I think the truth needs to be told. And because the truth will set us free. And we have to acknowledge how important it is, not just to tell the truth for ourselves, but for others. We have to live the truth. We have to embody the truth. If we don't do that, we're abandoning ourselves. And we're certainly not going to be in healthy relationships if we're not telling the truth and we're not honest with others. So, this is a real call to action. This is, we need to control our own behavior and behave well and make good decisions using the golden rule and realizing that we're in control of ourselves. We can't control other people. And we certainly can't determine another person's journey or fate. It's up to them. So, and this does include our children, although, like I said, there's some more guidance needed when it comes to a child. However, they are still God's children, and so they still have their own journey, and so we do have to respect that, okay? And work with them on it, all right, while still parenting and disciplining. But again, that's for another time. So, anyways, good night, everyone. I hope you find this helpful. And like I said, try to do this every day. All right. So take care. Good night. Bye.